Hi everyone, it's been a while since I made a video because I'm out here in Trinidad and Tobago, hence the more traditional Caribbean style background here behind me. I wanted to make a video in ode to that strong, independent Black woman, or any woman, or just any individual out there that feels like the burden has always been on them, and how this is negatively affecting your relationship with money. I'm not here to say that being independent is detrimental to your well-being, but everything in life is sort of moderation. We should do things in moderation. And so this video is a reminder to be mindful of moving into a state of excess when it comes to independence. So hyper-independence is going to look like someone who is afraid to ask for help. It's going to look like someone who refuses to receive help, right? So it could be either or when it comes to giving and receiving, and we'll dive deeper into this today. But overall, we've been told that being independent, especially financially independent, is like the highest achievement. What if I told you the obsession with doing it all on your own might be silently sabotaging your wealth and well-being? So we know that being financially independent is crucial to our overall well-being and stability, but too much of anything can't be good for you. So let's dive into why that may be and how to rectify the situation if you are someone that tends to have hyper-independent qualities, so that it is not negatively affecting the way that you can actually save more money. I think really my understanding of hyper-independence started with my own exploration within relationship dynamics, more specifically romantic relationships, and realizing that I had certain attachment styles that prevented me from opening myself up to certain partners and not allowing or not trusting men to show up for me. Because I've always just felt like I could do it myself. I grew up in a very unstable, quite violent environment that was instigated by men, mostly by men. And so I felt, especially when it came to relationships, I never wanted to depend on a man. And I never wanted to depend on a man financially. I never wanted to feel like I'm in an abusive relationship and I cannot leave this relationship because I'm financially dependent on this person. That has been the root of my hyper-independence and not wanting to receive help from others, because I just got to a place where it was like, I trust myself more and rather just do everything. But deeper down beneath the surface, if I don't learn to trust other people, my life will be much more shallow. If you are someone who closes yourself off to the world and shelters yourself off to the world, then there are going to be a lot of missed opportunities. Society glamorizes this idea of being self-made. There's this idea that if you did it all by yourself, you should be celebrated more than just the other average individual who had to lean on other resources and people to get by. If you can have something handed down to you, amazing. But there is an importance in having to go through the ringer, having to work really hard for something you deeply desire, and actually getting to the other side and accomplishing it. There's no greater feeling when you have to work hard for something. So I believe that is where that whole self-made concept, that it really lights people up, and it really is something that society has come to glamorize, and glamorize at the expense of looking down at being gifted opportunities, which is also a blessing in itself. And so I think we just need to be mindful of that as we go into this conversation. And that kind of speaks to the difference between independence and interdependence, right? So independence is obviously focused on the individual, whereas interdependence is focused on the connection between other people or a community of people. In Western society, individualism or independence is highly celebrated, versus in Eastern traditions and cultures, you'll see, even Caribbean cultures, I think African cultures, literally any culture that's still maybe attached to a developing country, there's a lot of interdependence. You'll find that there's a lot of collaborating, and on the negative end of interdependence can be people pleasing, right? Like not being able to set boundaries, putting other people before yourselves at the expense of your own well-being. And then hyper independence is overly focused on yourself at the expense of not seeing the benefit of using others to get ahead or to improve your overall well-being. There's a great emotional toll in being hyper independent. The loneliness that comes from closing yourself off to family, friends, the world. Not only do you miss opportunities, but there's a decision fatigue that you go through where pretty much all the decisions you're making are on your own. You don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of, to provide suggestions or life advice from. If you're emotionally going through it, these are the same people who will not go to therapy. Like that hyper independent part of yourself where you're like, I should have all the answers. But that leads to fatigue because you don't have all the answers. And sometimes it is helpful to talk to someone about what you're going through. It doesn't have to be a professional, but venting and letting out your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions to someone that you trust can be incredibly healing. Being fearful of asking for help, not wanting to ask for help out of shame and out of guilt, in the long term, that type of suppression will hurt you more than help you. So here are some real life examples of how interdependence can create more wealth. I sold my car 3-4 years ago, and the biggest reason why I sold it was I was living downtown Toronto in a major urban city, and I realized everything I needed was walking distance. You don't really need a car in a major city. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars to have a parking spot in my condo, plus the insurance on top of it, plus the gas that I gotta get, that is $1,000 that I'm saving that I could be putting elsewhere. And a part of me was like really resistant in the beginning because I was like, I want to have a car. And so that was very hard for me to realize, do I want to give up having a car? Like if someone asked me, do you have a car? And I say no, there was a little bit of shame or guilt because I prided myself in having access to these types of resources. And because society champions people that have their car, that have a home. And so that was one of those prized possessions that I did not want to let go of until I realized I don't give two shits what other people think. And my financial well-being was more important, even at the expense of status. I'm living my life for myself. You're not managing my money. You're not helping me pay my bills. So why do I care about your opinion as to whether I have a car or not? It just made clear sense. I do not need this car. I'd rather sell it, have that money, put it into my savings, pay off some debt. Because I think I sold it during my gap year, so I wasn't really working, didn't have much of an income. And now that $1,000 that I freed up can go towards other goals and things that are more important to me, or other types of spending that bring me joy, like travel. And I felt really good about that decision. And that just goes to show you that's a personal choice that I made to let go of hyper independence and to realize, you know what? I'm gonna lean on the systems and the structures that already exist. So if I do need to get anywhere and I need transportation, I have public transit, bus or subway in Toronto. I can call Uber, worst case. There's an event I need to go to that's a bit out of the way that I can't walk to. I don't go much places, so I'm not calling Ubers often. Taxi. I can get a ride from a friend. That's 4 or 5 options right there for you on how you can use an interdependent mindset to actually save more money and get ahead. And not feel like I need to kill myself to save money to buy a car. You might not need a car. This is not to talk you out of getting said item or thing or doing said experience, but really fact checking, running through the numbers, and seeing if it aligns with your long-term goals and vision. If you really want to save money, where are the areas in your life, where are you spending money that you might not actually need to spend money in? And why are you spending in it? Or is it to achieve a certain type of status, to be viewed a certain way, to be liked? Or is this genuinely brings you joy? Living with family, we talked about that multi-generational homes support wealth building. And a lot of Eastern cultures, where I grew up in Brampton, a suburb outside of the Greater Toronto area called Brampton, and it's heavily inundated with Indians, South Asians. I should probably say the more correct term, South Asians. And I love my South Asians, okay? I'm from Trinidad. Half the population in Trinidad is Indian. I love Indian food. I'm in no way upset that my hometown is probably like 80% South Asian. No matter where I go in the world and I say Brampton, every South Asian person knows Brampton, which I love. One thing I've noticed about these groups of people, this type of culture, and it's not just South Asians, it's East Asians as well, certain specific cultures, but they lean on each other so much. There will be 3 families living in one home, and I don't know how it doesn't drive them crazy. It probably does, but they do it because they know that it will help them to get ahead. If they all buy this home together and spend the next 10, 20 years working hard, that money will take them farther because they are spending way less money on paying for a mortgage or paying for any kind of rent. And so when they are ready to buy a home, they're gonna buy that home sooner than everyone else that's trying to do it on their own. Certain cultures do not believe in nursing homes or sending their parents to an old age home. They will have their parents live with them, their in-laws, live with them and take care of their in-laws. That is expected. That idea of wanting to care for others as they had cared for you is very strong in these types of cultures. Like I said, these interdependent cultures that we see. So living with family, even a lot of my family members on my mom's side, they're Jamaican. A lot of them live at home, never really left and rented their own space. I have my grandma, my aunt, and my cousin under one roof, and it doesn't look like my cousin's going anywhere, you know what I mean? And it's like, why? Why should you have to if you're comfortable, if you're okay? Why stretch yourself unnecessarily when specifically that situation, it's maybe not the healthiest environment if everyone's like fighting with each other, but still some people see that it's worth it because financially they are able to get ahead. So maybe in other areas of their well-being might suffer. I don't think you should compromise and suffer in one at the expense of the other. I think you should try your best to feel good about the environment that you're in and how it ties to your life. You might have seasons where you're like, you know what? I just really need to save right now. That is my main priority. And if I need to move in with a friend or a family member or get a roommate so that I can get ahead, I'm okay with doing that. As long as you feel good with doing that and knowing that option exists, consider it. Consider it. There is no reason why you should feel shame or guilt for prioritizing yourself and your money. Prioritizing your money is an act of self-care. People are trying to find more creative ways to get by. Instead of just focusing on how can I increase my income, how can I also minimize my expenses? And if I can be put into contact with someone who can become a trusted source and friend and utilize that to my advantage to crash with them when I travel or to help them look after a pet, why not do it, right? And the reason why this wasn't so popular before is because we didn't have platforms to connect us with each other. The only people that we really knew were in our own circles, family and friends. But what if now you can extend that to this global online world of people that I would have never been exposed to before? And these are just some of the benefits of the internet and the digital age and allowing it to connect us with so many more people than ever was possible. If you want to go faster, go by yourself. But if you want to go farther, go together. And I might even argue, if you want to go faster and go farther, go together. Really, like you could do so much better with having other people on your team than trying to do everything by yourself. But for some reason, like I said, we've come to champion that independent struggle over everything else. And I think it's time that we cut people some slack and say, you know what, it's okay. Like, you're actually working smarter instead of working harder by carpooling. You're actually working smarter by couch surfing and crashing at people's places when you travel and making new friends. Like, why is that looked down upon? Even the most powerful economies thrive on collaboration. So why do we think we have to go through it alone? So I really want you to take some time to just pause, and if you have a journal or just taking out your phone, and just answer that question. Why do you think you have to go at it alone? Who taught you that success is better done alone than in partnership or in community and with others? And maybe you can touch on hyper-independence. Where does hyper-independence show up in your life? And where does hyper-interdependence show up in your life too, if you want to challenge yourself even further on both extremes, both ends of the spectrums? How is living in both ends of the spectrums or making decisions in both ends of the spectrums harming you more than helping? You can pause, and when you're ready, jump back, press play. Then another thing that I want to talk about is the non-financial benefits of interdependence. So trust and connection is a big one. Sharing finances, rides, meals, or spaces with people requires communication and trust. You need to coordinate with people to get these things done. You want to carpool with someone, you got to organize, you got to coordinate with that person. What date, what time, how are we going to make this work? Trusting the other person to show up on time to get you to work. Trusting in that relationship and knowing that person is going to roll through and pull up. And these are skills too that ripple into every area of life. The more you challenge yourself to work with others to get ahead, the stronger those skills in communication and project management and leadership and collaboration. These can be the hard and the soft skills that you write on a resume, but you don't have to wait to apply for a job to showcase these skills. These are things you can embed and weave into your everyday. Then there's the cultural exchange. When I talked about Airbnb and immersing yourself into different cultures because now you can stay at local people's spaces, that opens you up to so much diversity in the people you get to meet. As you widen your network, you're exposing yourself to so many different types of people. Like, your Uber driver might be an immigrant from Pakistan. The person that couch surf with can be on a trip that you went to in Australia. Like, you are just opening yourself up to so many more diverse people, so many more diverse perspectives. When you have a wider range of friends and community that you can lean on, there's just a greater form of empathy for other people's experiences. You open your eyes to how people live differently, but in a way you appreciate. You realize that there are so many different ways that you can go about doing something, and there are so many different ways that you can experience life to its fullest capacity. And it's not just one way, right? Like, we are understanding that even with the concept of interdependence and independence, that those are two different perspectives right there. And none of them, not one of them, is better than the other or right or wrong. It's perspective. You can utilize this perspective at the right place at the right time to improve your situation. The mental health support that you get from having community is so valuable. A friend who shares a budgeting tool, a partner who holds you accountable, a family member who teaches you to negotiate. These are some emotional and mental health aspects and benefits to being interdependent. And this will take you farther ahead than most people who aren't willing to ask for the right tools, ask for the right advice, ask for the right support. Last year, when I was trying to get my YouTube off the ground, I have a friend who's also a YouTuber and a vlogger, and she was willing to help me. She was so kind enough to want me to get my vlogs off the ground that she was willing to edit some of my vlogs. And those are some of the vlogs that have performed the best to this day. I think my Mexico vlog got 5,000 views or whatever like that. And it was just so nice to have something taken off my plate. It taught me that people are willing to help if you just ask. And it motivated me to now trust more people and trust others to help me get to where I want to go, or to have that extra support where I don't have the time, or I don't have the energy, when I'm feeling conflicted. Can someone show up for me here? Because in the same way that they can show up for me, when I'm in a space to show up for them, I will do the same and return the favor. And that is how we nurture and foster these relationships. And if there's one thing I can leave you with, is to identify one way that you can lean into interdependence this week. Shifting a little bit away from independence and seeing how you can shift into interdependence, especially when it comes to your money and your finances. Where can you ask for support? Where can you ask for help? Where can you release burdens on you by leaning on systems, structures, and tools that are out there for you, that exist, that you maybe just haven't explored enough of, haven't done your research around, and just see how you can make things easier for you. Ask a friend for a ride. Have a money conversation with a partner. It can start small, but it is doable. And you will start to see how much more lighter you feel when it comes to navigating your finances. Abundance isn't just what you have. Please remember that abundance is who you allow to hold it with you. And with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video to be helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.